I just wanted to say that urban planning and design, as I said, shapes culture. I believe that it shapes culture at the macro and the micro level of building planning. And India's distinct culture is a product of urban design and planning principles that were founded over 5,000 years ago from the time of Mohenjo-daro. The culture, the DNA, the foundations of our lifestyle have been set then. The uniqueness of India is our socio-economic symbiosis. For thousands of years, Indian communities were planned to foster harmony and coexistence across the socio-economic spectrum. This is a personal experience of, the picture shows a little boy, Tambi, who was part of my household, who was my gardener's son, and the gardener used to stay at the back of the house. So he used to go to school, which, we funded very, very willingly because he was a very bright and very, very charming boy. And at the end of it, he used to interact with children, with my kids. So what he got from my kids is something incomparable, and my kids too mutually benefited from being associated with him by learning to share and also to understand and empathize another's needs and wants. So another unique thing about our family-centric system or society has been the joint family. We've always not only lived together in communities with the haves and the have-nots, but we've also lived multi-generation. And today we find, with the breakup of the joint family system and the nuclear family coming, we find old age homes mushrooming. And this is a very sad state of affairs, because here, as you see, for thousands of years, Indian communities were planned for joint families and multi-generational households, and together they worked, they developed, each generation nurturing the other, and supporting, had a very, very sustainable, self-supporting system. We have been intrinsically very sustainable. We've always revered our natural resources. Water is sacred. Rainwater harvesting was known to us eons ago. So India's unique culture is epitomized by a family-centric values, socio-economic symbiosis, and environmental sustainability. Planning and designing for communities 5,000 years ago has established the DNA of Indian culture as we know it. Will India pioneer ways to preserve our unique culture that has withstood the test of time and prevail over currently challenging realities? What is the reality today? We have about 48% of the land extent of India is agricultural, whereas the farmer, his profits, his income is growing at less than 3% a year, whereas the industry and service prides itself at a 9% increase. The farmer says life is becoming unprofitable for him. Water resources are dwindling. And so, they are leasing out and converting agricultural land, leading to unsustainable urbanization. So what is happening? People from the rural areas are migrating into cities in search of livelihood. Migration is the main reason for urbanization, and migrants are not happy when they come into the cities. They suffer from a lack of legitimacy. Their contribution to the city's economy is hardly appreciated. This would be the state of cities if they keep on growing. By 2030, 40.76% of India's population would be living in urban centers. 68 cities will have population of more than 1 million, 13 will have more than 4 million, 6 megacities with populations of over 10 million, and Mumbai and Delhi will have the proud distinction of being among the 5 largest cities in the world. Most urban poor live in ramshackle conditions. Most migrant laborers live on pavements. And because of a policy approach, they are also, they are criminalized. Large samples, National Sample Survey organized a study showed that half the people living in non-notified slums had no access to toilets or drainage. In Delhi itself, only 45% of the slum kids went to school. Only 13% of the households have sanitary toilets. None of the 6 areas recently studied by the UNDP had solid waste collection or garbage collection. They don't know anything about recycling, though we are talking about green, recycling, segregating waste. Many families have no access to piped drinking water. Well, Singapore has apparently gone for a very successful public housing system, where they have housed all their people of a lower income strata. Will India's family-centric, socio-economic symbiotic values be supported by high-rise islands that segregate our societies? The slum clearance boards all over are trying to give high-rises to the slum dwellers. Is it relevant? Are the slum dwellers, with the kind of lifestyle that they are living and the livelihood they are engaged in, be happy in a high-rise like this? Let alone, will they be able to afford the maintenance costs that go behind living in structures? So what is relevant to us is our own Indo-centric planning considerations, where resources are managed and scalable infrastructure is possible. Ecology, environment, socio-economic factors, culture and heritage are all looked at in totality in a sustainable fashion, with that as the dogma or the principle behind design. And what could the planning strategies be? Contained urbanization by providing job opportunities, upgrading living standards, decentralizing of urban nodes, creating unique urban nodes, and implement strict zoning laws that curb sprawl, and improve connectivity, provide mass transit systems between urban nodes, and provide bandwidth and fast internet connections to enhance communication and data transfer for all. So this is a housing system that we created for the World Bank funded scheme, where we did a reciprocal, I call it reciprocal housing because I think in any situation, there's a certain amount of reciprocity, what you give and what you take, be it with nature, be it with the resources, be it with the other people who live, or be it with the community. So this was a system which has been adopted in Tamil Nadu for slums, where it's a very flexible system because the area is limited for a dwelling unit, but it is flexible. Like what is a sleeping area in the day, in the night, becomes a cooking area during the day. So we've also incorporated a catamaran because this was for cyclone-prone areas, and most of our slums and areas allocated for the poor are all in low-lying areas. And what with tsunamis and floods, they are the first to get hit. So we had incorporated a loft, which is actually a raft, which they can use in times of emergency. Socially relevant for the family, when bungalows became apartments, bungalow apartments were done, and bungalow apartments gives the individual the amount of privacy and belonging and an individuality, rather than opening the door of an elevator and seeing 4 identical doors. So we created this little space in front of the house, which is transition between the outside and the house, where, traditionally all Indian homes have this to, sit and relax and watch the world go by. Here in Mahindra city, this housing program has 68 prototypes of houses. So it houses right from 500 square feet to 1500, even 1700 square feet houses. So this multi-income, multi-generational and multi-community kind of a living space is what is required to nurture the feeling of belonging, and where the lesser fortunate learn from the fortunate, and the fortunate learn from the lesser fortunate of how to empathize and bring them on board and make them near equal. Here we have used vernacular materials, but at the same time done a state-of-the-art museum. This is in the Cholamandal Artist Village, where all artists live together in a village, and combined communities, they are actually artist communities, which allows for renowned artists to come and work and live together. Transit-oriented development is the need of the day. So wherever we have larger projects, having a rail or a mass rapid transit system is always useful, and an inexpensive and green way to commute. So this is a station that we have done for the Mahindra city. Green, all public sectors have gone ahead and mandated that all their buildings have to be green, which is very good. So we are looking at greening and bringing down the energy consumption and reducing the carbon footprint in all our corporate, offices for the public sector. This is a facility that has been designed for the State Bank of India. Now, when I was talking about shaping India being a collaborative blueprint involving stakeholders, ingenious thinking, design solutions will come along with policymakers and regulators, the government and the judiciary, designers and planners, realtors and market influencers are definitely should be a part of the stakeholder group, developers and the construction industry, banks and financial institutions who do the funding. And then we will be able to empathize with the needs and the fears of each of the stakeholders and reach towards a common goal and set of principles from mindset to process, which when applied can be solutions to very, very complex problems. So I do believe that with our potential and with the will and with a little sensitivity to all these issues and sticking to our roots, we will be able to become a superpower in the near future. Thank you.